Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM News 10 at 10, where we give you more news in less time. We begin tonight with some breaking news. The Stevens County Sheriff's Office is asking people near Loon Lake to stay indoors as they respond to an active threat in the area. A suspect deputies are describing as armed and dangerous is in the area, they said. We do not know at this time, or we do know rather at this time, shots were fired. No injuries have been reported thus far, though. This is a developing situation. We will continue to bring you the very latest just as soon as we learn it. Well, tonight the CEO of the Guardians Foundation is speaking out as police and the city launch investigations into a former employee accused of stealing funds that were supposed to go toward helping the homeless. KREM 2's Kyle Simchuk joining us in the studio tonight. And Kyle, we now have a better understanding of just how much money apparently disappeared.
Well, yeah, earlier this week, city council members were told that amount was between $100,000 and $1 million. But Guardians Foundation CEO Mike Shaw says their audits revealed it was closer to $118,000. He called the former employee's actions, quote, pure evil. Reviewing the transactions of one former Guardians employee, Mike Shaw says nothing stuck out.
The numbers were so low that, allocation for gas or an allocation for staples for some ink.
But by the end of the yearly internal audit, he says numbers weren't adding up.
And lo and behold, bam, that $38 ain't $38. The $3,800 wire transfer was changed to $38.
Shaw says a series of purchases revealed $118,000 was missing, and all evidence pointed to one employee.
We cautiously moved into a deep investigation where we scanned every transaction that she had her fingers and pulse on. We were able to compile a number of spreadsheets that are clear and concise, that clearly show what we know as of to date, what the dollar loss is from our accounts that were wired into this person's account.
Shaw says the former employee showed little remorse when she was confronted.
This woman is something else. She obstructed us at every gate, every opportunity. Obstruction. So when we were trying to get more information out of her, that she was the one holding with passcodes and this and that, she would drag it out. It's in my car. The information's in the office over here.
Shaw says that employee signed a 4-page confession and was fired September 23rd. He called Crime Check to report the theft on the 29th, but never filed a police report.
I felt I did my part, right? In the little bit of time I had in my life, right, I did my part. And if people wanted to take what I did seriously, they would take it seriously and get back with me.
KREM 2 discovered that Crime Check attempted a follow-up call to Shaw's voicemail the following day. He says he never received it. But now, with the city audit underway, Spokane Police launched its own investigation. Kyle Simchuk, KREM 2 News.
Tonight, reaction to new security and a new set of rules to deter crimes at the homeless camp along I-90 in Spokane. But neighbors who we talked with today told us they don't feel those changes aren't really protecting them.
I do believe that it is going to protect them way more than it is going to protect me as a citizen on the outs. I can't go to a security guard and say, hey, they're destroying my property. They're not going to do anything to protect my property.
The new rules include a curfew and a good neighbor policy. The security guards are from a private company and are not affiliated with law enforcement. New today, staff at the camp work with the Department of Licensing and the Department of Health to help people there with social security cards, birth certificates, and state IDs. They say this is an important step as it creates access for people to get jobs or homes. Today was one of 3 days that staff will be helping with ID restoration. All right, did you get outside today? Enjoy this beautiful October day. If you didn't, no worries, because it looks like more nice weather's heading our way. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo with more on our forecast. Jeremy?
Well, Mark, it's more of the same as we head through the next couple of days. Get this, though, still pretty mild outside, considering 53 degrees, quite warm. Keep in mind, we're 2 weeks into the month of October. By now, we're supposed to be cold. That's all thanks to a ridge of high pressure overhead. That thing's not going anywhere, so the next few days look like more of the same. Overnight, we'll fall back to near 40 degrees, and we start tomorrow basically where we started today. By tomorrow afternoon, we top out basically where we topped out today. You want more of it? Well, that's all I got. Friday, a little bit cooler. We top out around 72. And then Saturday and Sunday both look like they're in the mid-70s with nothing but sunshine.
Looks good, Jeremy. Thank you very much. We'll check back in with you later in the broadcast. And new tonight, a surprise resignation out of Cheney as the police chief there, John Hensley, announced he will no longer lead the department. At this time, we are working to get more details surrounding the resignation. We have reached out to the Cheney mayor, Chris Grover, but he has declined to comment, at least for right now. And looking ahead, former Spokane police officer Nathan Nash is back in court tomorrow morning to hear his final sentencing. In August, Nash was convicted of second and third degree rape. And earlier this month, one of his victims filed a tort claim against the city seeking $1 million in damages, alleging the city ignored red flags in Nash's behavior. We'll have coverage from the courtroom tomorrow on KREM 2 News. The House Select Committee investigating the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol is set to hold a public hearing tomorrow, the first since July. The hearing will begin at 10 a.m. our time and will carry the special report on KREM 2. Multiple sources say they will serve as the closing argument ahead of the November midterms. The committee is expected to focus on former President Donald Trump's continued efforts to claim the 2020 election was stolen. And new tonight, a father and stepson from Washington were arrested today for their actions on January 6th. Richard Slaughter and Caden Gottfried from Ording made their first court appearances today. So far, nearly 900 people in the U.S. have been arrested in connection with the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. And conspiracy theorist Alec Jones was ordered to pay nearly $1 billion to Sandy Hook families. Just hours ago, a jury awarded the families $965 million in damages after Jones falsely claimed their children killed by a mass shooter in their Connecticut classroom were actors. Jurors said the plaintiffs should also be awarded attorney's fees, which are set to be determined in November. And the first steps have been taken to create the Coeur d'Alene housing development, but now Coeur d'Alene City Council says they won't be considering the next steps until December. The Coeur d'Alene Planning Commission unanimously approved the 442-acre annexation and zoning change that was required to build the community, which would create more than 4,500 new living units. Another open house to talk about the future South Hill Dog Park wrapped up within the last few hours, and they've narrowed it down to 3 locations now. Tonight's meeting was at the Talbot Event Center, hosted by the Southgate Neighborhood Council. Organizers will announce the final location after all the open houses on October 24th. And if you missed tonight's meeting, the next open house is upcoming Tuesday at 6 p.m. It'll be held virtually. You can find the link on our website, krem.com. The final of 4 open houses will be held October 19th at 6 p.m. And now to our night beat with a quick look at the day's top stories. A judge has denied Gonzaga head baseball coach his request to suppress evidence in his DUI case. Court documents show that Mark Mactoff filed a motion to dismiss his DUI case 4 months after his arrest on the basis that the police officer who pulled him over shouldn't have. Mactoff was arrested back in June in Reardon, Washington. The officer who pulled him over performed what is known as a Terry stop, which can be done when there is reasonable suspicion of criminal activity. The judge ruled the officer had reasonable suspicion to stop Mactoff and upheld the DUI charges. Well, the search is on for multiple people who are suspected of possible hate crimes. The suspects were seen on camera stealing and damaging flags from a Cheney home. According to Cheney police, the suspects took and vandalized several flags and banners representing the homeowner's religious and political values. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Cheney Police Department's non-emergency line. That number is right there at the bottom of your screen. And the Bezos Family Foundation announced more than $700 million in gifts to the Seattle-based Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center today. This is the largest gift the center has ever received, and actually one of the largest gifts any cancer research organization has received in recent years. The donation will fund 36 new research labs, the building of a large research facility, and investments in new clinical trial equipment over the course of the next 10 years. And that was your Night Beat. To learn more about any of these stories, just text us the word NIGHT to 509-448-2000 and we'll send them directly to your phone.